नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Our humble pranams to all the assembled Vaishnavas and all devotees. So I would like to know that Prabhuji, the devotees who have gathered are all like devotees who are chanting 16 rounds and practicing, or we also have a mix of new devotees, how is it? Mixed. Okay. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah. So today we are going to discuss Gajendra's pastime and his prayers. So, this pastime actually did not happen in in this planetary system. When you travel across India, in many places people say, this is where Gajendra Moksha happened. This is where Gajendra Moksha happened, like that. In Tamil Nadu there is a place, then in Uttar Pradesh there is a place. Many places they will say, this is where Gajendra Moksha has happened. But actually, specifically 4 Leelas, Narsimha Leela, Varahavatar Leela, Vamana Leela and Gajendra Leela. These 4 Leelas had not taken part in earth at all. So it has all taken part in in different planetary systems. So especially Gajendra Leela took place near Trikuta mountain, and Trikuta mountain is in the Milk Ocean. So this Milk Ocean is not the Milk Ocean in Vaikunta. This is a Milk Ocean inside this 14 planetary system. It is called Svetadvipa and it is called Vishnu Loka, where Paramatma is staying there. That is inside this material universe. Inside this material universe, there are 14 planetary systems. And the topmost is Brahmaji's planetary system. Above Brahmaji, there is an embassy of spiritual world which is called Vishnu Loka, not Vaikunta. And there is a Milk Ocean, and this Leela has taken place there in Trikuta mountain. And this Gajendra is not a normal elephant. He has the power of 10,000 elephants, and very surprisingly, he had memory of all his previous janmas also. They say among all the living entities, elephant is one living entity which has got a tremendous memory power. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. When a devotee becomes very intense and a serious person, Atma and Paramatma, they become very good friends. Then whatever the devotee desires, Paramatma will sanction, and whatever Paramatma wishes, devotee will perform. So their intelligence gets fused into one. Prabhupada writes this specifically in Nectar of Instruction. Because they don't have a separate thinking. Whatever Krishna wants, the devotee will perform, and whatever devotee desires, Krishna will sanction. Like Prahlad said, Hari is inside the pillar and Hari came out of the pillar just to make Prahlad's word true. So, that is the deep relation, it is called Bringabandha, the relation of a bee having on a worm. In 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is telling this story to Uddhava. Which means what has happened in Vrindavan, in that specific place called Imlitala, Radharani was very deeply thinking of Krishna. So intensely, so deeply Radharani was thinking of Krishna, Radharani became blue color. And she is called Neela Radha, bluish. And Krishna came there. And suddenly Krishna was very surprised, and Krishna thought, is that my female form? Krishna thought it is like exactly looking like me, all the body, color and things like that. And Krishna thought, when did I become a female? So then Krishna realized that is Radharani. Then Krishna started meditating on Radharani so deeply, and Krishna became golden color. So this is a strange relationship explained in Brahmara Gita, which means, a person can transform into another, and that happens in material world also. If some people, some couple or some parents and children, they're deeply attached, you will see slowly their bodily features will turn and they will look alike. Little difficult in Kali Yuga, but still you can find some couple like that, very, very similar, because consciously very, very deep. So this is what happens with devotees, because sometimes you go to some center, you see all the devotees look alike. Once we met many devotees in His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's Yatra, and they were all wearing white and white. And you see most of them physically also they look alike only. Because consciously they focused on one element, right? So, this elephant Gajendra, he had the power of 10,000 elephants. And he had a very strange memory. And it's a blessings. Sometimes I had many experiences like, in the class or in a conversation, we say something. I'm sure all the preachers will have this experience. They will speak something. They wouldn't have read that. Then they go back and refer to the book and it is true. And they will be wondering, how did I say that? Suddenly they will think I am the chosen one of Krishna, I am the special one and things like that. But it is simply Paramatma revealing things. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasyai katitahi artha prakashante mahatmanah. Krishna has kept 50% of knowledge in the scriptures and 50% in Acharya's heart. That is why Acharya Upasanam is very important, like Krishna Upasanam. When we are devoted to Krishna, we should be equally devoted to Acharyas. Then Prakashante Mahatmanaha. the secrets of this great knowledge will reveal deep within our heart. So Krishna gives remembrance. And if we forget something, don't blame yourself. It is also a blessing. Memory loss is some kind of a blessing. Apohanam. Because if we remember everything that has happened in our life, the pain will be intolerable. So even forgetfulness is a blessing, right? So here Gajendra, he had the power of 10,000 elephants, and he was roaming in Trikuta mountain. And successful people will always have followers. Failures will never have followers. That is why Krishna says, Yadyad acharati sreshta. Arjuna, you are a kshatriya, you are a powerful person, and the world adores you. So if you do something, that becomes law for mankind. And Prabhupada also said to very chosen, selected disciples, Prabhupada told, you don't have to renounce this world. You don't have to be a brahmachari, you don't have to be a sannyasi, you don't have to be a renunciant. You be wherever you are because you can do much better there. So, powerful people, successful people, we also like to be friendly with them. And we take a special pride in telling that I know such and such celebrity, we were studying together in the schools, we take some kind of a pride in saying all that things, right? Because we always want to identify ourselves with success. This is the nature of world. Nobody wanted to identify with a beggar. The beggar in the 3rd street in the temple, he is a very close friend to me and we were studying in the same school, same college. Will anyone take pride in saying that? No. We want to relate ourselves with success. This is human psychology. So, when Gajendra was moving around, hundreds and thousands of she elephants, female elephants were following Gajendra. And whatever Gajendra does, all the elephants will start glorifying Gajendra. Wow, you are a macho elephant. Look at you. You are so handsome. You simply uprooted this tree like this, Be very careful with these kind of friends. Our friends should be either, we have 2 types of friends. One is like a shadow and the second is like a mirror. Shadow is a type of friend. They will always follow behind us and puff up your ego, increase your ego, and whatever stupid thing we do, and they will say, wow, fantastic Prabhu, your hairstyle is amazing, your kurta, no, it is really wonderful, the way you sang kirtan, no, it is amazing. Be very careful with these friends, it is not coming from the heart, right? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I love those friends who slap me with broom and chappal. They are my best friends. And they fall in the mirror category. Mirror category is like they always identify the fault in you and they will say this is right, this is wrong. So there are 2 types of friends, shadow and mirror. We like shadows, we don't like mirrors, but mirrors are the best friends. But here all the she elephants glorifying, Gajendra, and Gajendra is like he has become so egoistic. We have to be very careful in this material world. We are here, we are stuck simply because of ego. And this material world is so beautifully designed, it will increase our ego at every step. And these elephants are following Gajendra, and just to impress them, Gajendra unnecessarily will uproot a tree, throw the tree up in the sky, he will break down a hill. He was really creating havoc, and whatever he does, all the elephants will, appreciate him, praise him. sing glories about him, and Gajendra was feeling he's the center of the universe. Bhagavatam is so beautiful. We can relate, See, most of you would have got married. During your wedding, of course, you will be the center of attention. The whole hall and all those people who have gathered there, they're all looking at that person who is getting married. After that, there is nothing like that. But the people, they think, I am always the center of universe, and people are always talking about me. People are always appreciating me. It's not true. So Gajendra simply wanted to impress the female elephants, and he was uprooting the trees, he was doing this, he was doing that, and he entered this milk ocean, the part of milk ocean below this Trikuta mountain. And that's a very special place. Gandharvas come there sometimes, rishis come there, and all kinds of, and Bhagavatam says that place was like flooded with diamonds and emeralds and all kinds of trees. Trees has this Navaratna as fruits. Have you ever seen like a tree having diamond growing or something like that? So those kind of trees and ponds, swan and peacock, not at all a place where humans can dwell. It is specially made for Gandharvas and Devas, a beautiful place. And Gajendra walked inside, splashing and uprooting and throwing. He was creating havoc. Then this crocodile, who was there inside this pond for many, many years, he crawled up and came and caught. And actually, when Gajendra's leg was inside the crocodile's mouth, and Gajendra told his friends and followers, I think a stupid crocodile has caught my leg. And all the female elephants are telling, Gajendra, this crocodile is nothing for you. You can just throw the crocodile like a kid picks up a pebble and throws. Kill him off. You can do this. And in one lecture, Prabhupada says, this is the nature of material world. Gita gayanti gardabam ahodvani ahorupam. A camel and donkey fell in love, and both of them are meeting in a sugarcane forest, jungle. So they are secretly meeting, a camel and donkey, they are lovers. And the camel says, donkey, my dear, look at you. And the donkey is admiring camel's beauty. Wow, what a macho you are. How handsome you are. And the camel is appreciating donkey, and the donkey is aho dvani, aho rupam. Donkey says, camel, you are majestic, you are royal, you are elegant. And the camel says, donkey, your voice is like nightingale. You can sing so sweetly. Then the donkey became flattered, and the donkey started singing, and the camel started dancing. They had their own party in the sugarcane jungle. That's it. All the villagers, they came with big long sticks and started beating both of them, and they both were in big trouble. So Prabhupada says, this is this material world. Aho rupam, aho dvani, aho rupam. So the praise, the appreciation, even the insult from this material world is meaningless. Tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit. People will appreciate and people will blame, but it is all meaningless. Never get affected. Sthani stita shrutigata tanuvan manob. Just be there. Just don't get impressed by all these things, because it's just meaningless. People will say 101 things, but it is meaningless. Only sadhus who have devoted their life for Krishna, surrendered to Krishna, are the genuine well-wishers of the conditioned soul. Nobody else. For everyone else, it is on the tip of the tongue. Just the decoration created by the tongue, and it is meaningless. But my devotees, Krishna says, they are so dear to me, and I am the real well-wisher for all of them. Rest is all like the logs meeting on the river. They keep meeting and they get separated, then they meet, then they separate, then they meet, then they separate. Meaningless. Then Gajendra thought it is so easy to defeat the crocodile. Then he started kicking the crocodile, and the crocodile was catching him strong. Then again he was kicking, and all the she elephants are saying, Gajendra, come on, you can do it. It is just like a child's play for you. And Gajendra also thought like that. But the time passed. Here crocodile represents time. Krishna says, Kala, time, I am the destroyer. Time can bring relationships together. Time can separate. Time can heal. Time can create a crack. Time is everything. And Krishna says, I am time. The time has the power even to make scriptures, spirituality invisible from a common man. You know, even scriptures, even Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 4th chapter, Sakalane hamahata yogo nashta parantapa. Arjuna, by the influence of time, even the greatest knowledge will disappear. Amazing. So we should never challenge time. That is why devotees should be very deeply interested to take up spirituality seriously as early as possible. Because sometimes devotees are lethargic. They will think, from next month I will do properly. From next year I will chant. I will do. Don't take time for granted, because time is Krishna and this time is very powerful. It has got so much power even to make spirituality invisible in this material world. Then Krishna has to come and give mercy again. So never. That is why we should simply be going behind time. We should not take it for granted. When we see something real, something genuine, honest, we should simply grab it. We should not be lethargic. Alasyam vyapani yad bhakti sulabham dhyayasva narayanam. Just give away alasya, laziness. Bhakti sulabham. So here crocodile is time. And he came and gradually separating Gajendra from his friends. So slowly the friends were all there and saying, Gajendra, you can do it. And Gajendra is fighting with crocodile, and time passes. Slowly the followers disappear. There are two guests in our life who will be simply swallowed away by time. And the two guests are youth and wealth. So never have put your security in these two things. Youth and wealth. They are guests in our life. One day they will come and another day they will disappear. We all know the youthful life, it just disappears. Right? And money. Wealth and youth, they are the guest in life. So never invest your security in youth and wealth. Right? So slowly the she elephants started moving away, and Gajendra was all alone. This is the naked truth of this material world. The moment we are a failure, everyone will leave and we will be all alone. But in Gajendra's life, that became a blessing. And Gajendra and crocodile, they were fighting for celestial years, not 1 or 2 years. Celestial years, which is like hundreds of years in human calculation. They're fighting for so long, and crocodile was slowly gaining strength, and Gajendra became weak because crocodile was in his home pitch. Cricket game, like India playing with some other country. In their own country, they are more powerful. They can easily defeat the opponent, because it's their land, their people. That is why devotees should be very intelligent to be among devotees. Never give up satsang, because in satsang you are a powerful devotee. Like India playing cricket in his own country, in their own country, they have lot of audience, lot of people to appreciate them. The government supports them, audience support them, so they get double energy. But they go to another country and play, they have to be really working hard to win. Same way, when devotees are among devotees, they are very powerful. Chanting becomes easier, doing seva becomes easier, even preaching becomes easier, distributing books becomes, everything becomes easier. But when you go separate, all alone, so many stalwart disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they tried all stunts by going away, aloof, and they simply disappeared in this material world. Never challenge the material nature. It is very powerful. So here, crocodile gained full strength because it's his home. The pond is his home, it's his place. And elephant is a stranger and he lost his strength. But the bad times, the times of trouble turned into a blessings for Gajendra. When something goes away, when you are challenged by material nature, when we are deeply hurted, when we are challenged, when we are in depression, when we are disappointed, then simply the best medicine is to simply surrender to Krishna. You know, we should know Krishna is just testing us. This nature is just testing us and surrender. And Gajendra had the special blessings of remembering what has happened in his previous life. That is a great blessing. The devotee, he does a tiny seva, a small seva for Krishna. Krishna will never forget that seva. And Krishna will give all the blessings for that person. A small thing, a tiny thing. And Krishna will remember that. So, Gajendra remembered his previous life. Then he realized he was a devotee. He was praying to Krishna, meditating on Paramatma in his heart. He was a yogi. He remembered everything in that pain and he started offering beautiful prayers to Lord Vishnu. So we will read out some 4 or 5 important prayers what Gajendra stated. One, he said, Krishna, you are such a wonderful artist. How dramatically you have created this life. And this life is an illusion. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first shloka, Vyasadeva writes, Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimaya. Fire becomes water. Water can become fire. Earth can become air. Air can become earth. What a wonderful illusion this God has created. Tejo vari mridam. Agni becomes water. Earth becomes fire. This material world is an amazing place. If we don't surrender to Krishna, we will be bewildered in this creation. For example, petrol. We know 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Now you tell me, petrol is water or fire? Which element is petrol? Anybody can answer in the chat box. Yamuna Mataji. Petrol tiya tanniya. Is it water or fire? Okay, somebody has answered fire. Okay, it's very difficult. That is what Krishna is saying. Vyasadeva is written in the first canto, first shloka of Bhagavatam. Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimaya. You can't make out what is this material world. It is an amazing creation. The Panchabhutas are bewildering. In Ramayana, that character, he's like he's Maricha, Ravana's uncle Maricha. From his name Maricha, Mirage came. You know that illusion when you drive on a highway in summer, you can see water and fire. Water, and if vehicle goes closer, you will see water is further. It's an illusion, and we say it's mirage. The word mirage came from Maricha, because in Sanskrit Maricha means illusion. Then Rama shot an arrow and Maricha was thrown some 300 yojanas, and he went and fell in an island, and that island is Mauritius. So the island Mauritius is the place where Maricha went and fell. So illusion of Maricha himself is so powerful that then you can imagine what will be the illusion of Krishna. The illusion created by Krishna. This material world is very difficult. We see, for example, let us go for a science class. Okay, I have got something in my hand. This is blue color. Okay. When a what do you call, how do you pronounce in the ondukku enna solluvanga Yamuna Mataji? That pachondu, what do you call it? CHAM, chameleon. Okay. When scientifically, when a chameleon sees this color, he will be seeing a different color. Okay. I see this is blue color, and another living entity which is created by Krishna in this world, it will see this as a different color. And Devas will see this one as a completely different way. Now, which is absolute truth? Is this blue color napkin is absolute truth, or chameleon's view is absolute truth, or the Devas' views are absolute truth? We don't know. This world is relative. And we simply go around and proclaim, no, this is right, that is wrong, you have not respected me, you have not done this, and I am right, you are wrong, you are right, I am wrong, and keep on fighting, and Devas will look at us and laugh, these bunch of fools, what are they doing? This is what the world is. Simply surrender to Krishna and get out of this material maze, or we will be bewildered. Next Janma, we will take birth as a lizard. Then lizard will go to the lizard college. Then there is a Miss Lizard coming from a different college. Both the lizards will fall in love. And they have lizard children. And he will become the head of the society. And the third Janma, he will become a cockroach. Cockroach family. Then ghost. Then one day we go to, what is that? Aryama, Pitrloka. And when we go to Pitrloka, the ruler is Aryama. So Aryama will replay all your previous life. And you will be laughing at Shesho. I was in Vizag doing all this nonsense. Next Janma, I was in heaven as a tree. Third Janma, I was a fish in this thing, Nagaloka. Which Janma you will take it as a real? Which one is a real? Everything is like, episode after episode after episode. Aryama will show your 100 lifetimes, and you will see all that and you will laugh. One lifetime I was a politician, another I was a beggar, third I was a king, fourth I was an animal, fifth I was a tree. Right? So, this is a very strange place. And we have started this journey for Janmas and Janmas. Not over. Still mind is telling, let us try some more. Let us try this. Let us try that. When will the mind say enough? That is a book written by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj called Vaishnava Cave. In that, Maharaj writes very clearly, when will this mind say enough? I am done. That I have lost the taste for all this. I have lost the taste for wealth. I have lost the taste for comfort, cozy sleep. Is there any devotee like that? Oh, I hate sleeping, I don't want to waste my time sleeping. I wanted to serve Krishna in that 4 hours, 5 hours also. When will the mind say this is enough? It's a beautiful line written by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. So beautiful. So, Gajendra is fighting, and suddenly by the blessings of Krishna, Gajendra remembered all these things and he started praying. He said, Krishna, you are a wonderful drama artist. Like Kunti Maharani also offered a similar prayer like this. Javanika, Maya, Javanika Channam. Krishna, this Maya is like a silk curtain. Silk curtain, and we simply get attracted to this curtain and we are not bothered about what is happening behind the curtain. See, Krishna says, in the shloka, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Why two Karana? Karana means cause. Why two cause? Krishna can simply say, I am the cause of everything. Finished. Why he has to say, I am the cause of all causes? Why? There are two things happening in this world. Immediate cause and permanent cause. Okay, for example, I had a conversation, I fought with Raviteja Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhu is here in the screen. I had an argument with Raviteja Krishna Prabhu and we fought and this and that. Then I immediately decide, from tomorrow onwards, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to step inside his house. I'm not going to be friendly with him. Immediately the mind thinks all this, and mind believes Raviteja Krishna Prabhu is the cause for my pain. That is immediate cause. What is the ultimate cause? Ultimate cause is my bad karma that I have to suffer this pain. So Krishna says, I am the ultimate cause of everything. But you focus only on the immediate cause, forgetting ultimate cause. We always focus on the immediate cause. Because of winter, I am falling sick. Because of this particular devotee, I don't feel like going to satsang. Because this devotee is very good to me, this satsang is the best for me. He is my true friend. Because whenever I give pizza, he sends a thank you message for me. So we always take immediate cause and decide things. But Krishna says, focus on the ultimate cause. Right? So, immediately Gajendra started glorifying, Lord, what a magical, mystical world you have created. I thought they are all my friends and followers. I thought they are mine. I trusted them. I thought I can enjoy them. But the moment I was in trouble, everyone left me. And I am all alone. Nobody can surpass your material world all alone by themselves. This is a beautiful prayer of Gajendra. We can never overcome this material world all alone by ourselves. Then he says, Krishna, you are the goal of pure devotees. You are the treasure of pure devotees. You are the wealth of pure devotees, because they don't desire anything material. In Tamil, there was a great saint and a poet, Thiruvalluvar. In his Tirukkural, in his writings, there is one shloka, whatever it is. It says, Patruga patratrar patrinai. Desire, the desire of desireless. What we should desire in this world? We should desire the desire of desireless. Who are the desireless people in this world? The true saints who have surrendered to Krishna. They are desireless people. And what is their desire? Krishna. And we have to desire that. And that is the only thing, because Lord is the property, wealth of pure heart, and He doesn't stay anywhere else. Like Kartik month, we know, only pure living entities can enter Vrindavan. Nobody can enter Vrindavan. Radha Krishna Leela, Radha Krishna Bhakti is only for pure souls. So Krishna, you are the wealth of Sattvatam. Who are Sattvata? Simply focusing on you and surrender to you, and they have nothing in this material world. And you are their wealth. Right? And third, he says, if a devotee really wanted to see Krishna, Krishna is everywhere, like fire inside Arani wood. When people do yajna in those days, even today in Kerala, I am from Kerala, even today in Kerala, when the local people perform yajna, very orthodox traditional priest, they don't light matches or a fire lighter or anything like that. They bring this Arani wood. There's a wood called Arani. They bring that Arani wood, and inside they have put a small hole. They will put a bamboo stick and they start churning the bamboo stick like we churn the butter, They start churning the bamboo stick. Within 4-5 minutes, the stick will catch fire. Even today they do that. So the fire is always there inside Arani wood. In the same way, Krishna is there everywhere. Every moment, if we want, we can realize Krishna. And that is called the Katvanga moment. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mayi pashyati. You can see the Supreme Lord anywhere and everywhere. Katvanga Maharaja, he went and fought against Asuras, helping Devas. And he became victorious, and Devas became very happy. And they asked Katvanga, what blessings you want? And Katvanga said, can you tell me how long I will live? Then the Devas told Katvanga, you are going to live for only one muhurta. One muhurta means it is 41 minutes or 40, something like that. Very short time. You are going to live for only one muhurta. That's it. The moment Katvanga realized that he is going to be there for a very short time, immediately he shut down his senses. He started thinking very deeply, meditating on Paramatma, giving up everything mentally, and within that moment, he attained liberation. And that's called Katvanga moment. If we are conscious, if we are alert, that's why Krishna says, use your mana and buddhi. Bhakti is not for buddhus. Bhakti is for very intelligent and smart people. Krishna says, use your mind and intelligence. Use that and be widely awake. And within a moment, our consciousness can be placed at the lotus feet of Krishna. What a beautiful process this is. Nobody else can do that. No Mayavadas, Jnanavadi, Tattvavadi, none of them can do this. Only an Bhakta can do. Right? So Gajendra says, Krishna, you are there everywhere. What a fool I am. What a fool I am. Forgotten you and wasted all my time seeking praises from this material people. So Gajendra offered this prayer. Okay. That was an advertisement in between. Okay. So then Gajendra said, if I want, I would have realized you, but how stupid, how big a fool I am. Went behind all these things. And finally Gajendra says, Krishna, but I am an animal. I am not in a human form. So please, please give your special mercy to me. So there, by the time Gajendra started his prayer and ended his prayer, Gajendra had so much of humility in his heart. Very humble Gajendra had become. And he's saying, Krishna, I am not a rishi, neither a king, nor a powerful Brahmana. I am simply an animal. What intelligence can an animal have? So please give your special blessings to me. He became very humble. And in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada says, humility is an ornament of a Vaishnava. A devotee should be as humble as possible, very honestly. And the Lord will never leave that devotee's company. So beautiful. So he begs and prays. And when Gajendra prayed this, immediately Lord Krishna, Lord Hari appeared on Garuda with all 8 hands and different kinds of weapons. And he came, Lord appeared there. and dragged Gajendra out of the pond with the crocodile, along with the crocodile. Krishna pulled him out, and he pulled him out and immediately took Sudarshan Chakra and chopped the crocodile first. And the surprising thing is, the crocodile got liberation first. Actually Gajendra offered a prayer, but crocodile got liberation. That is why we should be very serious. Always catch a devotee's feet, never leave them. But not like a crocodile, in a very friendly way. Catch devotees' feet and never leave them. So, this crocodile was also not a normal person, very special. He was a Gandharva. He was in the same pond. And one day when Devala Rishi, in Bhagavad Gita that name comes, Asito Devalo Vyasa. Devala is a very close friend of Narada. When Devala Rishi came there to this pond for meditation, crocodile for a fun, he went and pulled Devala Rishi's feet. He was a Gandharva, he went inside water and pulled him. So he got a curse, right? So the crocodile got liberation because crocodile got the blessings of Gajendra. Then Gajendra offered a beautiful prayer. Then Vishnu took Gajendra to Vaikuntha. And there is one more shloka in Bhagavatam, Vishnu taking Gajendra to Vaikuntha and telling all the Vaikuntha Vasis, this is Gajendra, my devotee. Once upon a time, he was a Maharaj Indradyumna. Then he took a birth as an elephant. He is my very special devotee, very dear devotee. Please all give him blessings. He is very special, and Lord is kept on glorifying and glorifying and glorifying. And the same similar shloka we can see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. When Gopakumar went back to Goloka, Krishna personally came to the entrance and caught Gopakumar's arm. And Krishna took Gopakumar and told Radharani, this is Gopakumar, my special devotee. Rukmani, hey Rukmani, this is Gopakumar. Jambavati, this is Gopakumar. Arjuna, this is Gopakumar. Krishna was... So that is why Bhagavatam and Vishnu Puran says, Krishna becomes 100 times, 1,000 times more happier than us, we becoming a devotee. Krishna becomes more happier. And he started personally counting how many times he's chanting. It's all very important. That's why Shad Goswami Ashtakam we sing, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natabhi. When the Shad Goswamis are chanting, they kept a count. Sankhya. They had a count of what they chant, how many obeisances they pay, and what all prayers they offer, and how many this thing. They had a count of everything. Sometimes devotees say, I chant inside my mind, Prabhu. I don't count at all. I'm chanting all the time. No, even Goswamis kept a count. So Krishna counts how much this devotee is chanting. How many times he chanted attentively, how many times he didn't chant attentively, inattentively. He kept a count. Then the devotee, when goes back, Krishna becomes so happy, embracing him, taking him all over and talking as though he has got 1,000 mouths. So when Gajendra went, Krishna became very happy. And in the next chapter, Shukdev Goswami is asking, Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukdev Goswami, why Gajendra was so special? What made him such a special devotee? Then Shukdev Maharaj started speaking about the previous life of Gajendra. Yeah, one beautiful lesson from Gajendra's life. He was Maharaja Indradyumna in his previous life. And Bhagavatam says he is from a Dravidian kingdom. South India, he was from South India. So, Maharaja Indradyumna, one day he felt this material world is enough. And he went to jungle. And he renounced everything. What is real renunciation? Giving away something which is very dear to heart is real renunciation. When Vamanamurti asked Mahabali, you are lost. Where will I keep my third foot? So Mahabali smilingly said, Lord, Chalayasi Vikramane Bali Madbhuta Vamana. Very tricky you are. You have taken everything, 14 planetary systems so easily. And Mahabali is smiling. What, Lord, I have? I don't have anything. I have got my own ego, ahankara. So please take that also away. And he bowed down so smilingly. And Vamandev put his lotus feet on Mahabali's head. And Lord gave 3 promises to Mahabali. Mahabali, next life you will become Indra. Second promise, you will get another wonderful, more powerful planet than Indra in Sutala. And the third, the topmost blessing, I will become your security and stay there for years and years. So, beautiful relation between devotees and Vaishnavas. Krishna. So, Maharaja Indradyumna came to jungle, gave away everything because he realized my only wealth is Krishna. That is why Prabhupada says we should have undivided devotion. We have divided devotion. We have devotion to Krishna. At the same time, we have invested our faith in money, health, family, many other things also. We are mixed bhaktas. But who is a pure devotee who enters the pastimes of Radha Krishna? Undivided devotion for Krishna. So, this king, Maharaja Indradyumna, was meditating and Agastya was passing by with his thousands and thousands of disciples. And Agastya saw this man is not paying respects. He is sitting very, egoistically. But actually Maharaja Indradyumna was deeply meditating on Paramatma, and externally he was not conscious about like what is happening around him. But Agastya misunderstood. This king has become egoistic and not paying respects to me. So Agastya took little waters, sprinkled on Indradyumna and cursed him. You will become a mad elephant. That was the curse fell on Indradyumna Raja. So after hearing the curse, Maharaja Indradyumna opened his eyes and he was like very surprised. Why did this great sage curse me? I have not done anything wrong knowingly. What mistake I have done? I was simply meditating. I was not even aware that the sage was passing. My dear devotees, Indradyumna arrived upon 2 conclusions. It is very important in our life. He came upon 2 conclusions. Why this curse had fallen upon me even though I have not done anything wrong? There could be only 2 reasons. One, it must be my previous karma. Or it is Krishna's special plan. In either way, I am happy. If something happens in our life which is not pleasing, which is a challenging, which is depressing, disappointing, hurting, then immediately we should come to these 2 conclusions. One, it is purely our previous karma. Or it is Krishna's arrangement. In either way we are happy, because if it is karma, everything will get burnt off. If it is Krishna's plan, I am so happy Krishna had made some plans for me, for my betterment. So Indradyumna came to this conclusion. What a beautiful self-analysis and self-control he has got. Imagine we were there in that situation. Somebody comes and blames us. Immediately we react, we retaliate. They say 1, we say 10, then we keep discussing with our friends, and it's like putting fire on top of fire. It will never put aside. So Indradyumna Raja came to a beautiful conclusion, and he went and bowed down to Agastya and said, "Oh great sage Agastya, thank you so much for cursing me." And Agastya was like wondering, I cursed him and this man is coming and thanking me with gratitude. How is that possible? Then Indradyumna Maharaja said, what I realize is, actually I didn't do anything wrong, but still a great personality like you have cursed me. So there could be some reason, there must be some reason. So either it is my previous karma, so I am very happy all my bad karmas will disappear. Or it must be Supreme Lord's plan, and I am very happy about it. Then immediately Agastya became so happy. Agastya thought this man is a real sadhu. Why did I curse him? Now I can't take my curse back. So immediately Agastya said, hey Maharaja Indradyumna, whatever I have cursed is cursed. I can't take it back. But I can tell one thing. Definitely you are going to take birth as an elephant. But in that lifetime, Lord Hari will personally come, catch your fingers and take you back to Vaikunta. So what happened? By the way Indradyumna reciprocated, the curse turned into a blessings. Imagine if we were there in that situation, we would have made it worse. So the way Indradyumna Maharaja reacted to the situations in that world, he is beautifully turned into a blessings. Situations are same. By surrendering to Krishna, we can make everything into a blessings and Lord will be very happy. So please take up Krishna consciousness seriously. This is a way out in this material world. And Guru, Parampara, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, they are all very much focusing on us going back to Krishna. So chant nicely, spread this message in whatever way possible. And Kartik month is very, very special. This Kartik month, everybody will get liberation. So I will tell you one tiny analysis from Kartik month. Krishna was tied to that Uluka, that Voral, what do you call it, whatever. What do you call it in English? That Uluka, grinding mortar. So Krishna was tied to this grinding mortar and the mortar was like, double the size of Krishna. It's actually very big. Yashoda Mata said, this mortar is your friend, both of you join together and do all the stealing. So I will tie both of you together. And that's a story you must be knowing, You all know that story. Then Krishna dragged this mortar, pulled the tree, and both of them got liberated. And the trees were there in the courtyard of Nanda Baba for ages together. Nanda Baba in his childhood, he had seen the trees. And many Vrajavasis, they know about these trees, but they don't know since when this tree is remaining there, So Krishna pulled and the trees got liberation. And Krishna came back. By the time Nanda Baba came, Balaram came, friends came, and the friends started trying to remove the rope. They couldn't remove, and Nanda Baba came and removed the rope. Then the mortar asked Krishna, what about me? Then Krishna said, what about you? No, you have not blessed me. So the mortar also got blessings, very special blessings. So now you see, Yamala Arjuna trees also got blessings, mortar also got blessings. Yamala Arjuna trees, they were there for yugas meditating on Krishna and got liberation. This mortar was with Krishna for few minutes and got blessings. Who was in the easiest process? Who got it easy? The trees or the mortar? The mortar got it very easily. You know why? The trees were remaining in the same place and meditating for yugas and yugas. Mortar simply obeyed Krishna and did all the devotional seva. Wherever Krishna walked, the mortar also went behind. He went in the courtyard, mortar followed the courtyard. Krishna went between the trees, mortar did not say no, it also went behind the trees. When Krishna pulled, the mortar without a slightest hesitation simply followed the footsteps of Krishna. And the mortar was bigger than Krishna. Why it is so? We may be intelligent, educated, handsome, impressive, Pandits, Jnani, Vedanti, powerful, whatever. Simply follow the footsteps of Krishna and Vaishnavas. Life is very easy and successful. On the other hand, Yamala Arjuna trees have to wait for yugas and yugas meditating on Paramatma, but they have not done any seva. On the other hand, mortar did simple seva going here and there, did not ask one single question, went behind everywhere and the mortar got liberated. That is why in the last shloka of Damodara Ashtakam we say, I pray to Krishna. I pray to the rope that tied Krishna. I prayed to that belly where the rope was tied. I prayed to the mortar. I prayed to Radharani. I prayed to the whole Leela, even the rope, mortar, everything we are praying. Namaste Studamne Spuradipti Damne Tvadiyodarayata Vishwasya Dhamne Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nanta Leelaya Devaya Tubhyam. I pray to the entire Leela. I pray to Radharani. I pray to that rope. I pray to Krishna's belly. I pray to the mortar. And I pray to Krishna. Everything is sentient because the mortar simply followed. In that Leela, mortar did seva, the milk in the stove did seva, everyone. So, the real surrender in bhakti means to remove the element called aham. I, that feeling I, that ahankar, if we could remove and serve Krishna, life becomes successful. And Kartik month is very special. So, if we surrender, if you do simple seva, this month is very special, we will get unlimited blessings. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.